Regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District will be held today beginning at 5 p.m. inside the Dr. Ricardo Chapa boardroom of the Administration Building at the McAllen Independent School District Administration Building, 2000 North 23rd Street, McAllen, Texas 78501. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in any other order as shown on the agenda unless removed from the consent agenda. Items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action by the board on the items and subject listed as followed. 1, call the meeting to order. So we did. Item number 2, invocation. I'd like to ask Trustee Sofia Peña to lead us in our invocation.
Dear God, we have come together in your name to work for the good of our schools. Stay with us, your invisible presence, and pour your spirit upon us. Make us use your gifts in a spirit of trust and guidance and a spirit of prudence and understanding, so that the children of our district may experience an abundance of learning, compassion, and peace. Let harmony reign among us, and let us keep your eyes ever fixed on you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Trustee Conrado Alvarado will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to welcome everybody into the Dr. Chapa boardroom today. We appreciate everybody coming out and joining us. One person in particular we'd like to recognize is Mr. Ryan Connect in the back of the room. Mr. Connect, how are you, sir? Mr. Connect is in his scout uniform because this is a merit badge for him, right? Yeah. Which badge would this be, sir?
Citizenship and Community.
Citizenship and Community. Thank you, sir, for your participation.
Life Scout, by the way.
Yes, sir.
On the way to Eagle.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to public comments. We have 3 speakers in our public comment. The board encourages public comments at all board meetings according to board policy, BED, local board meetings, public participation, and related district administrative procedures and practices. Persons wanting to make a statement to the board are required to register with the superintendent secretary 1 hour prior to the start of the scheduled meeting. Audience participation at a board meeting is limited to the early stages of a meeting. At all other times during a board meeting, the audience shall not enter into discussion or debate on matters being considered by the board unless requested. Each participant is limited to 2 minutes per meeting to make comments to the board, and at regular board meetings, public comments shall be limited to only items on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting, and if an issue is mentioned on tonight's agenda, the board will defer discussion of the issue until the appropriate time during the meeting. Should the speaker drift from the stated subject or becomes disruptive or abusive, he or she shall be given 1 warning. If a second warning is required, then the speaker may forfeit the remaining time allotment. The board shall not tolerate disruption of the meeting by members of the audience. The board has adopted complaint policies that are designed to secure at the lowest administrative level a prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns. Please refer to the following policies. For student and/or parent complaints, policy FNG. For employees, it's policy DGBA. And for citizens, it's policy GF. Copies of the district policy are available on the McAllen ISD website at www.mcallenisd.org. All speakers will have 2 minutes, and our first speaker that we'll call to the microphone is Mr. Gianfranco Villanueva Arellano, who is coming up to discuss the Rowe Natatorium. Gianfranco, your time will start when you do.
Hello, my name is Gianfranco Villanueva Arellano, and I'm currently in high school as a junior on the Memorial Swim Team. Like my father before me and others, I would like to speak for the Memorial Swim Team about the problems with our natatorium facility at Nicky Road. I love the sport, and I have been swimming for the team for the past 2 years now. And throughout these past few years, the pool at Rowe will break down and shut down practice for at least 3 days to around 2 weeks. Most of the noticeable problems in the school are the heating system. It breaks every other month and sometimes at the worst possible times. For example, two of the worst breaking times this year would be during the week between district and regionals, and lost the final preparations and practice for regionals. The second most notable problem of the pool is the cleaning and filtering systems. We have a joke in our team about how the pool water sometimes becomes Gatorade water because it's so foggy. And once again, we lose more practice time to get better. I propose that either the pool gets fully renovated with better systems and more maintenance, not only save money on repairs, but so we, the team, could have more time on the water. Or a more radical decision is to create a new facility with new systems with the free space at Memorial, not only saving traveling time, but also helping with fuel usage and costs, and also helping with the issues with attendance and arriving on time from road to Memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker that we have is Mr. Ronnie Cruz, and his topic is the McAllen Housing Authority. Good evening, Mr. Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, Dr. Gonzalez, Board of Trustees. I'm Ronnie Cruz. I got Rudy Ramirez and Daniel Delgado with me. We're with the McAllen Housing Commission. We just changed our name to McAllen Housing Commission. That's what we're representing. We're here looking at your property on Crockett. About 2 years ago, we were interested in it. You know, we have a project that we had proposed at that time. We're still interested in it. We don't know, you know, what we can get it, yes or no, but we are interested in being one of your possible buyers to develop into multi-use apartments. At the time, what we're going to do, we're working with the city. We're going to keep the park. We're going to put a community center for the commissioner of that district for the city, and which can be used by, of course, our residents, the city, and the school district. Anybody can use that. What we're proposing is a multi-unit apartment, which it's people of all incomes are in there. Not only low, not only high. They're of everybody, because we got to make the project work financially. If we go just affordable homes and everything, affordable housing, we can't. The note won't be paid back. So we got to have mixed use in this apartment complex, and that's what we're here for. We're still interested. And when I say we're still in the board of directors of the Housing Commission, we are unanimous that we are looking for land all the time. That's the reason we are on that board. Our job is to look, find affordable homes, affordable housing for the residents of McAllen. So we're always looking, we're always interested in all kinds of projects in the city. In projects, apartment complexes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, our next speaker, we want to welcome Mr. Jerry Jewell up to the podium. Welcome back, Mr. Jewell.
Thank you. And could I just start by saying that to sign up for this does not work on mobile devices. So maybe the IT could take a look at that. It only works on computers.
We'll have them address it.
So I'd like to, first of all, you guys have heard me. I've come and I've talked to you about the pools. I want to say thank you to the board members who've reached out to me. I appreciate that communication. I'm glad to see that I've seen the ads that we're looking for bids for redoing the Road and Auditorium. Great. We're happy to see that. So thank you. I want to start with that. I also wanted to say I agree with John Franco that we really need a practice pool on the other side of town because, hey, half of our city lives on that half of the side, so we need that. But I really appreciate that we're moving forward. I've heard that there's some talks with the city. I've talked to Commissioner Cabeza de Vaca, Commissioner Haddad, and it seems like there's some movement, and I would like to encourage you to keep working with that and keep moving towards us. With that in mind, this isn't even for my son. He's not going to benefit from this. This is for the kids who are in elementary school today that are going to benefit from this. And honestly, these problems have been there for 15 years. He's been swimming in the rope pool for 15 years. And these have been the same problems for 15 years. So hopefully I can do something for these kids who are coming up later. Finally, I just want to show you these new t-shirts we have. I have to move my beard for you. But it's the 3 high schools. We have this shirts that say 3 teams, 1 family, because we're kind of brothers. We compete against each other, but in the end, we're the same family and we're on the same team. A lot of our kids have swam together since they were small, so we're trying to work together and work with you guys. And so anything we can do to help you, we just want to just be here. We're with you. We're behind you, and we thank you for your support. Oh, by the way, on the back, you get your own team logo and your child's name. So anyway, thank you very much. Let's keep this moving.
Thank you, sir. Rudy, you've had your piece?
I'm sorry?
You're not going to speak?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we're going to call forth Mr. Rodolfo Ramirez.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director for the McAllen Housing Commission. Like Ronnie was saying, we're about affordable housing, affordable rentals. We are different in the sense that our agency is not like neighboring cities. We don't have public housing. I say public housing, you might think criminals, uneducated, those kind of things. So really pushing that agenda to change that philosophy. And as a former public teacher, kind of getting what HUD is pushing. So as we push, and I carry the flag for the poor, right, because we service the lower end of the families that we assist in rental, not home ownership, but we push that. But basically, what McAllen has is affordable rental properties. So our newest, Daniel, if I can get you to bring that picture up, this is our newest property. So this is Hibiscus Village. So this is McAllen Housing Commission, not your typical project, right? So this is what we push, and it's mixed families. So in education, y'all get mainstreaming, right? Where I might have somebody that's special ed and GT or vice versa. So kind of the same thing where we have families that have different income levels. So again, if an opportunity comes up, like our chairman, Mr. Cruz, was saying that y'all need to dispose of some property, keep us in mind. And again, I'm always asking everybody, if there's affordable housing as far as rentals, we're here to maybe look at them, if it's a good deal, right? But this is ongoing, and it's USA-wide where the need is there. And really pushing the education because it goes hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Taylor Kramer.
Yes, sir.
Step on up, sir.
All right. Got a few things, my own production company here, so.
Okay.
Just a second. If you really don't mind, that's awesome. All right. Just wanted to pass out something, a little visual aid.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm going to run back here and try and do this in 2 minutes and see how it goes. All right, everybody. I am speaking for CASC, C-A-S-C, Citizens Against the Sexualization of Children. Let me tell you a little bit about CASC. So, CASC is not anti-LGBTQ+. There's no money collected and no politics discussed. CASC assembles at municipal, county, and ISD meetings for public comment. CASC will address sexually inappropriate content and situations children are being exposed to and advocate for common sense, zero tolerance of overtly sexual content for children. CASC is all about action. All you need to do is show up and attend meetings and sign up for public comment. Someone could sign up for public comment and speak with CASC right now if they wanted to. You're here to tell your community that we're paying attention and will not tolerate any overtly sexual content aimed towards children. Everyone who is against sexualization of children is welcome to join CASC. And that's on Facebook, so you can go at CASC on Facebook. Now, I am here tonight to talk about an event that happened 2/19/23 at the Landmark on Tower, and that's in Alamo. It was a kids' drag show presented by STEPS, South Texas Equality Project. The event was called Amor is Amor, or Love is Love. The flyer for the event had a drag queen in lingerie licking his leather glove right next to the words kids games. At this event, they had toddlers tipping drag queens. This was a striptease with toddlers participating like they're at a strip club. This is not appropriate for children. This is a sexual act. Why are young impressionable children being shown this as LGBTQ plus culture? Where are the LGBTQ plus doctors, lawyers, and scientists? This isn't about education and culture. This is sexual content aimed at children. This is what they're showing kids. This is the example of LGBTQ plus role models STEP, South Texas Equality Project, shows children. Drag queens dancing for strangers that throw dollar bills at you. Again, this is sexual content aimed at children. They had kids' games right next to the drag queen stage. Now that everyone is aware of South Texas Equality Project, what they do and what they think is appropriate for children, ask yourselves, does this reflect the values of the McAllen ISD or McAllen? I don't think so at all. So what we're saying is that this is absolutely not appropriate for children.
Thank you,
STEP
Mr.
has
Kramer.
sexualized children.
Thank
They
you,
should
sir.
not be involved in ISD. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, that will wrap up our public comment section of the meeting. Moving on to item 5A and B, these are the proclamations. Can I get a motion to approve? I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Items 5A and 5B are approved. Discussion and possible action to adopt the proclamation regarding Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. By proclaiming March 26th as Purple Day, administration would like to bring epilepsy awareness to our community. We have Mrs. Elizabeth Gutierrez, our Director for Health Services, who will share more information, and Mr. Conrado Alvarado, Board Trustee, who will read the proclamation. Ms. Gutierrez.
She couldn't be here today, but I will inform the board. Epilepsy is one of the most common neurological conditions that children face, and it's the second most common neurological condition for adults. We honor Epilepsy Day on March 26th, but since that's a Sunday, we'd like to create awareness on Monday, the 27th, a week from today, and if we could have everyone wear purple in creating awareness. And we have, I believe, three of our staff members from the health services here today.
Starting off, we have Janie Espino, district nurse. Next up is Lucy Ocañas, registered nurse. Yeah, go ahead. No, thank you. Next is Nicholas Aleman, medical assistant at Fossum. Oh, thank you. Yes, sir, that's it.
I have the proclamation from McAllen ISD from the state of Texas, County of Hidalgo. Whereas March 26th is Purple Day, is a global effort dedicated to promoting epilepsy awareness in countries around the world. And whereas epilepsy is one of the most common neurological conditions, estimated to affect more than 50 million people worldwide and more than 3 million people in the United States, including 135 students in McAllen ISD. And whereas McAllen Independent School District has designated March 26th as Purple Day. Therefore, as a result, Purple Day urges everyone in McAllen Independent School District to wear purple on Monday, March 27, 2023. Now, therefore, I, Conrado Alvarado, member of the Board of Trustees of McAllen Independent School District, do hereby proclaim March 26 as Purple Day. I call upon all residents to support this initiative and effort to bring awareness to increasing understanding, reduce stigma, and improve the quality of life for people with epilepsy throughout the country and globally. And witness, therefore, I hereby set my hand, cause the seal of McAllen Independent School District be affixed this 20th day, March 20th, 2023. Signed by me, tested by Marco Suarez, the Secretary of Board of Trustees. And just real quick, I know we all have family members affected by epilepsy. It is something that affects the whole family, so I'm glad that we're recognizing.
April 3rd is designated by the Association of Gifted and Talented GT Awareness Week to encourage support of gifted education in Texas. We have Dr. Rosalba de Hoyos, our Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services, who will share more information. And we have Mr. Sam Salivar Jr., Board Trustee, who will read the proclamation.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. That's right. We encourage everyone to support the Gifted and Talented Awareness Week. During this week, we get to acknowledge the efforts to identify and serve our gifted and talented students. Mr. Mark May will announce those who are in attendance to support this proclamation.
All right, and we'll start with Yvette Fanning, AP teacher, social studies at Memorial. Next is Joni Villarreal, AP teacher in science at Rowe High School. Dana Michelle Garibaldi, science, a student from IB and Rowe High School. Allison Gonzalez, student from Achieve. Kevin Cardenas, a student from Rowe. Hector Franco, a student from Rowe. Ashton Pena, a student from Cathy Middle School. Teresa Macias, student from Morris. Saul Garcia, student from Garza Elementary. Livia Lozano, student from Garza. Diana Carrillo, a GT tester for Advanced Academics. Iris Castro, a GT tester from Advanced Academics. Amanda Sanchez, GT coordinator, Advanced Academics. Alexandra Gonzalez, Advanced Academics coordinator. And Karen Nitch, director of Advanced Academics.
I'll do it all year. It's good when you get ready for Shark Tank.
Come on, Harvard.
Okay.
Where did that come from?
McAllen ISD, proclamation, State of Texas, County of Hidalgo, McAllen Independent School District. Whereas our students are our nation's greatest resources, and those with intellectual, academic, creative, and artistic gifts and talents deserve differential educational experiences. And whereas McAllen ISD strives to provide intellectual and academic opportunities for gifted and talented students to maximize their potential through collaboration, innovation, and problem solving, while supporting their unique social-emotional needs. And whereas Gifted Education Week is a time to reflect on how gifted students are identified and served in the McAllen ISD community, delivering an equitable education for all our children includes identifying all students who have benefit from gifted programs and services. And now, therefore, I, Sam Saldívar Jr., on behalf of the Board of Trustees of McAllen Independent School District, do hereby proclaim the week of April 3rd through the 7th, 2023, to be observed as Gifted and Talented Awareness Week. All citizens are urged to take interest in and give full support to equal school gifted and talented programs for children and youth. In witness thereof, we place our hand and seal and cause of the McAllen Independent School District to be affixed on this 20th day of March 2023, and it's signed by myself, and it's attested to by our board secretary, Trustee Marcos Suarez. Congratulations to one and all.
Behind Harvard.
Yeah, behind that room over here too. Right there. And you slightly come out. Right there.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. GT. 1, 2, 3.
I don't know if in case mom and dad need to take photos. There you go. There you go, mom. All set?
In the back. In the back. In the back.
You got it? All right, good. All right, thank
You get a free snow cone with it, across the street. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir, Trustee Suarez.
I'd like to make a motion to bring up 14B1.
We have a motion to bring forward item 14B1. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it forward. Bringing forth item 14B1. And I believe that has to do with our upcoming elections, and this is a report from Hidalgo County Elections discussion and possible action on the interlocal agreement number 2023-184, the School Board Election Services with Hidalgo County. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The district utilizes this agreement with the county for election services and voting equipment. We have Ms. Hilda Salinas, Election Administrator for Hidalgo County Elections Office, is available to answer any questions, and we are requesting action on this item.
Board, I will be recusing myself as an employee of Hidalgo County.
Welcome, Ms. Salinas.
Welcome, and I also have a division manager, Ms. Melissa Alvarez, here as well. Do you have any questions? We're here to answer any questions that you may have.
If I may, I need to recuse myself as well as an employee of Hidalgo County.
Okay. Okay, so Trustee Peña and Trustee Forina are recused themselves. Mr. Miller, do you have a presentation to give?
Ma'am, it's really just this slide. I tried to pull some data together just to show the number of registered voters and then active voters. And as I tried to come up with the total active voters, I had to end up going back to the canvas report. That was the report after the fact. So there are varying numbers because one's a snapshot of when they did the estimate of what it would cost, and one's the actual voters. So I'll go through those real quick if I may. So in 2019, Canvas report shows 61,070 registered voters. Active voters was 21,966. Now that was heavy voting because we had 4 places. We had places 1, 2, 4, and 5 that particular cycle. And in 2021, there were 109,615 registered voters according to the Canvas report, and active voters was 20,318. That was for places 3, 6, and 7. So I asked these young ladies to come here tonight and kind of explain the cost difference, why it has went up. So, Ms. Salinas, if you can talk about that, why the cost has increased.
Last year, in the beginning of January 2022, we did need to retrofit our voting machines. And this was in accordance to a new law that went into place in 2021. So we had to become a more paper-based voting system, whereas before it was direct, recording, electronic voting machine. This, incurred more equipment. So now there needs to be scanners. Right now, I think maybe all of you have already used our new voting machines where a paper ballot, is printed once you do make your selections on the screen. And then you go in and you scan it into the scanner and, again, you incurred the pricing in the thermal ballot paper as well as more equipment in the voting machines. So, of course, there's more costs in that. Would you like to add anything else?
And also from 2021 to the 2023 is that the hours are different as well. So that does make a difference in payroll costs.
Madam President, if I may, just to be sure, the estimated cost for this election is $123,406. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that includes the hours that are now required and all the locations that we're talking about, both for the early voting and on election day?
Yes, sir.
And that material we've already gone over, right, Mr. Miller? As far as the polling locations, and so really here today is really to see what the cost is actually going to be.
When today is really the contract. So remember, we had to come back with revised because the hours changed, and then this is a contract after we did the questionnaire.
But we didn't know the actual cost back then either, so now we know the actual cost.
Now we know the cost for this.
Okay.
And again, this is an estimation.
So it could be a whole lot less, not likely.
Yes. Yes, but I mean, we wouldn't be able to say at this time until the election does run its course.
Okay. So it could be less or it could be more? More than likely less?
It could be less in payroll.
We want to hear less.
That's what exactly.
I think
we like to hear
everybody
less.
does. Everybody wants nowadays.
So just to be fair, just to understand, that is an approximate estimate as more than likely a maximum amount, not necessarily a final amount.
Yes, this is in case all your registered voters will go to the polling locations and cast their ballot.
It's going to be this.
And you're talking about all our registered voters at 64,807?
Yes.
So that's how you base this estimate?
Yes, exactly. At 100% voter turnout.
All right. But based on the fact that our prior experience, although that had a mayoral race and we had city commissioners that were contested as well, which we don't have this time around, but let's say it's around 7,500. What would be the estimated cost for 7,500? Is there a way to give us that?
We wouldn't be able to give you more or less an estimation. Again, we would need to have the election run its course, and then it would be more definite. I wouldn't want to give you a price, and then it would be different.
But you're giving us a price now, and it could be different.
Well, yes, well, at a 100% voter turnout.
Got you. So would it be fair to say that between the 2021 figure, which is on our chart, it's up there,
Right.
it says it was 67,347, so that would probably be the minimum, and the maximum would be the 123,406. Somewhere in between those two figures.
So yes, the price could possibly change if you had, back then, y'all had 60-some thousand voters versus 74 or 7,000 that came out. So if you do not have the 64 that come out, complete, yes, you will only get billed for what comes out at that time. So if
Gotcha.
your 6,000 voters come out, everywhere at item number, section 6.03, where the ballot paper at cost, your ballot thermal paper per vote, your I voted stickers per voter, all that will change to the actual cost of voter turnout for this 2023 election.
Yeah. So you did break down at least some fixed costs, but the other one's the actual number of individuals. You have to work the polls based on the volume of ballots that will take place. So that's going to be a cost that you don't have right now.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Alvarado?
Mr. Miller, so last time we discussed that some of the early voting hours changed, right? Has that been remedied, or is it?
Well, it has changed. It's 7 to 7 on the first day and 7 to 7 on the last day and on that Saturday, and then it's,
Well, let me ask it this way. Is there any difference between the city of McAllen and what we're doing with Hidalgo now? Is there any hours that the city is voting and we're not?
I'm not sure.
we're not really familiar with the city of McAllen's schedule. We're not running that election.
No, I understand that.
Yes.
But the problem is, if someone goes in and votes for the city of McAllen at a certain time and we're not available, they're not going to come back and vote. So last time we discussed, there were some differences in the hours that they changed on us, that the county did.
They did, yes.
Okay, and that hasn't changed.
No, that has not changed. 7 to 7 the first day, 7 to 7 the last day, and on that Saturday, I don't have the date. And all the others are
8 to 6.
8 to 6.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go on record. That's an issue for me. I know it's not the separate, but it's an issue because as it is, a lot of our voters go in and only vote in one, usually the city, and they don't go vote on. And now we have different hours where we potentially could lose a voter. So I'm particularly, I mean, the cost is, I understand that, but it's more of a accessibility. So I think we need to really understand that, if there's really a difference. And then I'm not looking at you because I know that's, I think we need to figure out what the city of McAllen is doing and what we're doing and try to fix that. If it costs us a little bit more money, I mean, to me, it's going to be worth it, but it's going to be more chaotic if we don't have access the same hours. It's just, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we've always done it this way, but there's never been an issue. But I can foresee it being an issue this time.
Sir, at this time, we wouldn't be able to change any hours. It's already set. Also, it involves coding, the election, the machines, when they open, when they close.
Okay.
It involves a lot of factors.
So just in the future, in the next election, we could coordinate with the city to make sure, and y'all wouldn't have a problem with it if you had enough time. Am I correct?
Within time.
Right. Okay.
I would even say more strongly, if we don't get it fixed, then we're going to have to choose one or the other or go back to the city because it's not going to be fair to the voter to come in and have two different, because y'all, anybody who's been through election knows it's an issue just trying to get them to go vote in the school. And now we're not going to have the same times. Wow, that's not good.
I'd like to express my disappointment in it as well.
Excuse me, madam. You've been recused. You can't participate. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'll yield.
Move to approve.
You're welcome.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Suarez, seconded by Trustee Saldivar. Any further discussion?
I do have one further follow-up question, if I may. Thank you, Madam President. You said with enough time. How much time? You see, we thought we had enough time this time, and apparently we didn't. When we first found out about the hour change from the county, we turned to the city, and the city said, well, we're locked in, and we turned back to you. We are locked in. So there really wasn't any more movement. So we were looking at this, in January? Was that fair?
Initially January 9th, I believe was our first meeting, and then latter part of February.
So for a May election, so how soon will we have to check with you and coordinate with the city? Because we'll be doing this again in 2 years. So I know things change a lot in 2 years.
Yes.
But had this been where we are today? Would it have been December, November, October, just to kind of have a clue?
We based the hours on, several laws that are currently in place. By law, technically, the polling locations need to be open for 9 hours. So we were trying to meet with the demands of the law as well as what our voters are used to, which is having 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the first day and the last day of early voting. We decided to include on Saturday, which is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. as well, to offer that flexibility. We do have a wide variety of other entities that are also running, that are contracting with us. They are also on the ballot. So, we were trying to create uniformity and also to be in accordance with the law.
So again,
You can go ahead, and it's within January, so I guess.
would November be too soon, or is that, you're not even looking at this?
Depends when McAllen starts, preparing for their election. If we can come into some communication in November, December, it could start that early, because this year, I believe we met with the entities on a Zoom meeting, January 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yes.
So, anything before then, because it depends when everybody starts preparing for their election.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's what we ought to do. Dr. Gonzalez, is that administration start November, December, and I would suggest doing it in writing so that they know our position, and I would include communicating with the city as well, so we can see what's the best option for our community. Thank you. No further questions.
But, just to be clear, we never had this issue, at least in the last 3 elections I've run. There've always been synchronized times, so this is something new. I know you changed your times or what have you, but again, it's more on us. I think we need to ask the city what their hours are. It could potentially be, maybe I'm not even on the ballot, but it just bothers me as it is, it's an issue, having two separate and then not having come back, even if it's just a few hours. So anyway, it's just something we need to sit down with the city and figure out what we're going to do.
Well, the worst is to disfranchise voters is they make all their plans, they have a lot of schedule and activities, and they go out to a voting location and they find out it's not even open. That's not what we want.
So I have a question. You said that the majority of it, so because you're running elections for all sorts of people, even if in January we were to come say we expect 7 to 7 every day, you're a vendor, we're paying for it, you would still say, no, we're representing 20 different entities and the majority is 8 to 6. Is that what
And
I'm?
again, it's in an effort to collaborate with all the entities who are smaller, have smaller budgets. And again, we were trying to meet with, in the middle with the new law that's in place. So those were the factors that, went into place when it came to this.
Yeah, so I suggest when we go out for bids next time to hold elections, that be one of the things that we have in the bid, that they must be open 7 to 7 or don't even answer our bid.
Yeah.
I would suggest.
Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
a fair thing.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor. It's been moved by trustee Suarez, seconded by trustee Saldivar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
3-1.
Yeah. I was
3-1
actually
with
gonna
2
say no.
abstaining.
So the vote is 3 yes, 1 no, and 2 abstaining.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Aliceta. Thank you, ladies. Moving on to item number 6, recognitions, we have none. Item number 7, donations, we have none. Item number 8, recess to closed session. The Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.089 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. A, discussion of human resource recommendations for school year 22-23. B, discussion of human resource employee resignations for the 2022-2023 school year. C, discussion of district-wide intruder detection audit report findings. D, discussion regarding school safety and security. E, pending and/or potential litigation. And F, possible real estate acquisition. So at 5:40, this board is in closed session. We'll head to At 6:48, this meeting is back in open session. For the record, no action was taken while we were in closed session, and many thanks goes out to the Texas Classroom Teachers Association, TCTA, for providing dinner for the board this evening. How about giving them a round of applause? All right. Ooh. Every good artist needs a little feedback. Item 10A, discussion and possible action of human resource recommendations. There are no recommendations. Item 10B, discussion of human resource employee resignations for school year 2022-2023. HR has submitted a list of resignations for the school year under separate cover. That is for information purposes only. Item 10C, discussion of the district-wide intruder detection audit report findings. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The top priority of our district is make sure that the state of Texas is keeping students safe along with our district, and staff is doing that every single day. So the Texas School Safety Center recently conducted an intruder detection audit at one or more of our campuses, and we have our chief that is here to share more information.
We'll bring forth Chief Joey Silva of our McAllen ISD Police Department. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Board. So, yes, in addition to what Dr. Gonzalez just spoke to, the audit tests whether a campus is accessible to an unauthorized individual. This audit, conducted as part of Governor Abbott's school safety directives for all school systems following the tragedy in Uvalde, seeks to help districts identify how campuses can improve safety for students, such as ensuring exterior doors are locked. The audit provides us with an opportunity to create a safer learning environment for our students and staff. We are working closely with our district's Safety and Security Committee to ensure that we are all training all our staff and securing our doors for the protection of everyone at our campuses. The support from the state in conducting the intruder detection audits is just one of many actions we are taking to ensure our schools are safe. We know that this work does not end, and we appreciate the board's support. We acknowledge the parents and community members are likely very interested in the details of the audit results. However, it is in the best interest of the students that we do not share this information to the broader public, as it could lead to compromising important campus security information. Specific details of the intruder detection audit will be discussed in executive session and with the School Safety and Security Committee. McAllen ISD is committed to providing a safe and secure learning environment for our students and staff.
Thank you, Chief. Item 10D, discussion regarding possible school safety and security. Chief, if you'll proceed as directed. Item 10E, pending and/or potential litigation. Mr. Saldana.
No action as discussed in the executive session.
Thank you, sir. Item 10F, possible real estate acquisition. Mr. Saldana.
None, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item 11, Superintendent Report, the 2023 United Way Award Ceremony. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We're excited about this one. On March 3rd, 2023, the United Way of South Texas honored its top contributors, and McAllen ISD was blessed to receive the Golden Apple Award for donating the most money out of 17 school districts in the area. So very, very proud of the staff. We've won this award for 5 years in a row. The district donated $117,000. And once again, this is the 5th year in a row, so we're excited about that. Gonzales Elementary also received the highest per capita award in the 17 districts as well, so congratulations to the staff at Gonzales Elementary for their generosity. And then, they donated an average of $138 per person at Gonzales. And additionally, our central office here at the administration building received the award for the highest per capita of the 17 school districts as well. And we donated an average of $129 per person. So this speaks of the generosity of the staff of our district, and we're very proud of this award.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody involved.
And we have a short video we'd like to show. Very excited to be here at the United Way celebration. McAllen ISD is once again the top giving school district out of 17 school districts for the 5th year in a row. We're very proud of that. Also proud of Gonzales Elementary as a top giving campus out of the 17 districts involved, and that just says a lot about Gonzales Elementary. And then we were also the highest per capita at central office with regard to us giving, so it says a lot about central office staff. So to be the Golden Apple recipient, it's a testament to the heart of our district. So on behalf of the administration and our school board, I want to congratulate the entire team and I want to let the entire community know that McAllen ISD has their heart in the right place, and this is just another example of that.
Today we had the opportunity to work with our friends from United Way of Hidalgo and Starr County and represent the different organizations throughout McAllen ISD who were greatly celebrated today. We had the top school campus with Gonzales Elementary. We had the top administration with McAllen ISD administration. And overall giving to United Way was brought home by McAllen ISD for the 5th straight year with the Golden Apple Award. So it just shows when we all pull together how many different ways we can touch the many lives around our community.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Doc. Great report today.
Yes.
Item 12A, the board committee reports. 12A1, instructional services briefing. The chair is Sofia Peña.
Yes, we had a good meeting, discussion on and possible action to adopt a proclamation regarding Gifted and Talented Week and also the other proclamations that we already did earlier today. We have a report regarding the dyslexia program coming up, a report regarding digital learning and libraries department, and possible action on a request for library books, ebooks, textbooks, audiovisual materials, and instructional reading materials, and an approval of an interlocal cooperative agreement on the Tex Prep, the Texas Pre-Freshman Engineering Program with UTRGV, and just possible action on a request for fine arts equipment, supplies, and related items. And that is our report.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Item 12A2, the HR briefing. Chair is Daniel Vela, but sitting in for him is Marco Suarez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only two items we had were the HR resignations and also the interlocal agreement between the district and Hidalgo County for the elections, in which we've already voted on that. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Item 12A3, the district operations briefing. The report to be done by Sam Saldivar Jr.
Thank you, Mr. President. The District Operations Committee met on Friday, February the 27th, before the break. It was about 10 o'clock. And there were 5 items. The first one is 5A, which is on page 7, which is a discussion and possible action, a proclamation, which is the Purple Day for Epilepsy, which we just did. 12B3, which is on page 26. This will be a report regarding facilities, and you probably saw the first slide is about to go up. This is a facility maintenance and operations projects. We had a chance to kind of review that. 13C, this is under consent agenda, by the way, page 47. This is the Hallis construction for the softball turf synthetic for various campuses. And the other item, number 4, is 14C2 on page 85, possible action resolution on the final subdivision plat. We're not buying another school. It's just a correction of filing of certain documents that are required when we purchase the property. And thanks to Ms. Gonzalez in doing her due diligence and reviewing our properties, came across the fact that this plat had not been filed with the city. So that's what that motion's about. When I looked at it, I thought we were buying or selling some land around Lucio, and it wasn't. So just to be clear. 14C1, page 84. This is the discussion and possible action to terminate contract with Econ Group. The board had previously taken action on. If you look in your packet, we have 3 separate board motions are required in order. And that concludes our report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Saldivar.
Just real quick, thank you, Sam, for, just for the record, I was able to call. I was a chair, but I didn't attend the meeting, but I called afterwards, got the information. Thank you for filling in.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Alvarado. Item 12A4, the business operations briefing. The chair is Debbie Crane Aliceda.
Yes, the committee met with Ms. Felix, and most of the things are in consent agenda. They're as-needed basis type things. And then the one thing that's not in consent agenda is possible action of a February budget amendment. And that is my report.
Thank you, ma'am. And item 12A5 is the board officer briefing. Mr. Suarez and I had a chance to get together with Dr. Gonzalez via Zoom and discuss the different items on the agenda and where it is they should be placed. That was all. Before we move on to item 12B1, I would like to recognize, as everybody knows, the board is a body corporate, and we have Trustee Erica de la Garza Lopez that is joining us here tonight. We appreciate her coming out and reliving it here. Thank you, ma'am. Item 12B1, the report regarding the RTI 504 dyslexia program. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The RTI 504 Dyslexia Department will report on its 2022-2023 goals and efforts. We have Mr. Salvador Flores, our Director of 504 RTI and Dyslexia, who will share more information. And this item is for information purposes only. Welcome, Mr. Flores.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a welcome.
Good.
Sal, you got our attention.
We're awake now. Good way to wake you up, huh?
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Fortina, and thank you to the board and Dr. Gonzalez for allowing me to be here today. I think it's a great way to start the year. I want to just say thank you for everything you do. Definitely number one thing we're going to talk about today is allowing to talk about our executive summary for RTI 504 and dyslexia for the community to know. We want to talk a little bit about the changes and how they start here at McAllen ISD. Number one, we start with identification. I think that's one of the things that we started at an early age. Once we identify our students, we actually place our students in the right program, whether it be RTI or 504. But the accommodations is what we enjoy the most because we know that it comes directly from the committees that are set up at our schools. But the value progress monitoring that we do on number 4 is what we look forward to the most. Definitely we make sure that the kids that are in tier 2 or 3 that they're actually moving into 504 or evaluations through special education. I want to start off first with the RTI program, Response to Intervention. It's a multi-tier approach to the early identification support of McAllen ISD students with learning and behavioral needs. The RTI process begins with high-quality instruction and universal screening of all children in general educational classrooms. Currently, right now, we are serving 1,255 students. As you know, last year we had 1,305, and you're probably wondering, how come the numbers drop? Well, definitely we know that 1, the kids no longer need the intervention. 2, it could possibly be that they moved on to 504 or maybe for an evaluation. The next one is Section 504, which is part of the Rehabilitation Act of '73. The prohibition discriminates based upon disability. Section 504 is an anti-discrimination civil rights statute that requires the need of students with disability to be accurately supported through the disability. Currently, right now, we had 282. We have 2,821 students, where last year we had 2,054, a difference of 776 this year. So we have increased our numbers. And finally, we talk a little bit about the dyslexia program, which is a language-based learning disability. Dyslexia refers to the clusters of symptoms, the results of people having differences with specific language, particularly in reading. Students involved in McAllen ISD shall be screened appropriately for dyslexia-related disorders. Appropriately timed to coordinate with the programs of the Amplify, which is followed by the State Board of Education. The program must include screening at the end of the school year for all students in kinder, and of course, all the students in first grade by the end of the year. Currently, right now, we have 1,751 students. Last year, we had 1,546, a difference of 205. So what happens when a student is identified? Definitely, we start them out with an adaptive blending program. For the elementary, we start with the Core 5, and for secondary, we start with the Power Up. I do want to talk a little bit about the Core 5. I think it's an elementary blended learning program. Well, the number one thing we want to learn about this is that we learn to teach the kids to go from learn to reading to learn. For our secondary, we power them up with a new program. That Power Up program also actually gets you to get the students from multi-tiers of growth within a single academic year. I think the differences that I want to show you all, and I think that's very, very important, is that McAllen ISD follows a different formality. Normally, the handbook tells you that you can either develop a program or you can actually purchase a program. Well, guess what McAllen does? We do both. The reason we do both is that we believe that when we purchase a program, but we have the right tools in place, then we can make a huge impact on our kids. This year, we actually set up a system called the rotation model, which we use for our Core 5. We pull out the students for 45 minutes. The first 5 minutes are giving us a warm-up where we start teaching them about Heggerty and the support that they need. Then we bring them into a 15-minute of credit online program, but we actually advance by getting our kids to go to a teaching-led activity. And we close up with a warm-up activity when we do that, the last 5 minutes of writing skills. The second thing that we do is we do the same thing for Power Up. Power Up is basically for our secondary students. The only difference is that kids in the secondary level have an actually classroom where they actually go in there for the amount of time required. And then we also follow the same formality, except they have a little bit more time for 20 minutes or we could say 40 minutes incorporated with a teacher-led program. One thing I do want to mention that on Fridays, we go into what we call the Learning Ally program. That's a state-funded program that's given to every student. We have over 80,000 books that are audiobooks. Those 80,000 audiobooks can be for AR purposes or textbooks for students to use while they're having issues with actually reading. They have those audiobooks to support every single student. So that's a big change for our district. And here we go. We were scared. That's why I put that little face up there, right? When we started our Core 5, we didn't know exactly where it was going to lead us to. But I'm going to show you next what the good news were. And here it is. On 2021, we started with 1,008 students in the actual Core 5 program. 696 of those students were in grade 3rd to 5th grade. In August 2021, when we went on with the program, we realized that 96% of our students were not at grade level. During the course of 2021, we were able to bring those kids to 78% of these students advancing to at least one grade level in literacy for TEKS for McAllen ISD. That was a huge gain. We also want to talk about the RDA, the results for driving accountability. In 2021, we had 582 emergent dyslexia bilingual students, passing the STAR only at 22%. This year, at 2022, this past year, we had 700 students that were EBs and the STAR, and that went up to 49.6%. So that tells you that we're making a huge gains in all areas of our students. But as we see Dr. Moats talk out there, she says, informing teachers are our best insurance against reading failure. While programs are very good, just like the ones we have, programs don't teach, teachers do that. So I want to make sure you understand that one of the things that McAllen ISD does that's phenomenal is bring in the following. We bring in the LETTERS program. The LETTERS program is a professional learning for our teachers. Here's the difference between our school district and many school districts. We provide professional learning on the science of reading with our kids, not only K through 3rd like it is required by the state. We take it all the way to 12th grade for dyslexia students because it's been given to every teacher. So when our teachers start working for us, they are brought into this program. They do take this training, and it takes about 2 years to get them all set. We will finish our first cohort this year, and we will start a new cohort the following year. So what has that done for our district? Well, here's a perfect example. Vanoka Bayi, which is our teacher at McAllen, at Fields Elementary, got awarded the Cambium Learning Program, an award. You know that they only selected 3 teachers in the nation, and we were one of those teachers. And it was brought because of the work that they were doing across the board with technology, incorporating the teachers-led programs as well here in McAllen ISD. But mostly, let's talk about the entire program and the entire group. We have 49 teachers. We have 6 of those teachers. 43 teachers and 9 aides in dyslexia. That tells you that we have everybody taken care of in our district. This is what I'm proud of, the teachers. It's not me, it's our teachers that have done the difference and make a big, big impact at McAllen ISD. We're getting calls from different districts, different schools telling us that they want to come be with us. And you know what? It's all because of what our teachers do. So I'm very proud of each and every one up there. So what's next? Well, we know that last year we were incorporating the first year of CAL training. We completed our first year of CAL training. It'll be finishing this June 2023 with 15 teachers starting the certified academic language therapist. By the end of 24-25, we should have 17 certified dyslexia therapists in our district, meaning that now we'll be able to serve every school that we possibly can. And I would love to say that I would love to start a second cohort right after we're done next year to continue that. My goal in the future is to say, I would love to say that all 49 teachers are CALs. That's our goal for the years to come. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you up there. Also to our community for all the services that we've done. And I have a video that I just want to play. It's a 2-minute video so you can see where we're heading and the changes that McAllen ISD is doing.
House legislation passed a bill, House Bill 1886, where it states that students are to be screened for dyslexia and related disorders from kinder and first grade. Students are screened by our platform here that McAllen provides, which is research-based. Their platform is called Amplify, where you have all the different components of reading, and the students are screened in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year.
In middle school, having them used to having a class period dedicated to the dyslexia lab.
It's just to get them to talk, because these are kids that maybe have never talked in class or shared out loud.
Certification as a CALT allows you to have a very deep understanding of the type of skills and tools that you need to be able to differentiate the instruction that needs to be explicit and sequential that a person with dyslexia needs.
So the great thing about becoming a certified academic language therapist is that the Take Flight program was specifically written with dyslexia students in mind. So the curriculum is a multi-sensory program.
And this just benefits them because they transfer these skills back into the classroom to their assignments and testing. And it's just very necessary for them to internalize this reading that they really need to do to be successful.
She was able to present to us at the IB program yesterday for the exhibition. She was able to read. I can see her working with her teammates. And just seeing that, seeing your child flourish and grow.
Sounds great.
Wow. Thank you for everything you do, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Trustee Alvarado.
Well, your video is really good. Answers some of my questions. Because let me preface by saying this: that not a while back, and I'm talking way before you, this was an issue for us. I got a lot of phone calls about we weren't evaluating students fast enough. We didn't have enough resources. And now to see everything that we're doing is just incredible. And I know you're not happy just being here. You're going to keep pushing. So. I guess the only question I have now is, because I was going to ask you, do we have a dyslexia specialist at every school? And the answer is yes, right? It looks like?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's your average caseload?
I think right now we're looking at probably the highest I would say would probably be about 16 students in a classroom. But remember, using the model that we're using, we can rotate those in groups of 2s or 3s. So you end up doing like a 6-to-1 ratio when you actually get into the actual setup of the process.
That's awesome.
Of the program. Yes, sir.
So the only thing I do want to follow up, because I want to ask, because a while back, one parent said it took a while for them to get evaluated, a couple of months. Walk me through the process now. A parent, and I know it said in the video, first and kinder, they get evaluated, but someone in third grade comes to their teacher or comes to the principal and says, I want to get evaluated. What's that process look like now?
Well, we used to be able to say that students could be evaluated through 504 or through special education. Well, with the one single pathway now that it's gone through special ed, which I'm super excited about, now we can actually determine what is the best solution for a student and making sure that we look at every area to make sure they're identified. So as soon as we get a call from a parent, the way special ed departments should be doing it should be, and I know they're doing it that way, is that they receive a call, right? They automatically, by taking the call, they automatically start putting the folder together, which is a checklist. We got to make sure that there's characteristics involved in the process, and then they follow through and make the evaluation.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you, sir.
I yield.
Trustee Peña.
Thank you so much for all you do. I know your passion for this program. I follow you. I'm a fan. I know that you put your all into this program, and I appreciate that you keep us abreast of everything that you're doing. You have 15 teachers that are already CALT certified?
They're going to be CALT?
Yes.
They're going to be on 23-24. We got 2 right now at our district.
Okay, just 2?
Just 2.
Oh, okay. So
That's
the 2 that we saw up there.
Yes.
How much does it cost to get each of these teachers certified?
As a matter of fact, right now, I was looking at the numbers, and the total cost for that was exactly $45,000 for the first year, $22,000 for the second year. $25,000 for the second year.
For each teacher, or for both?
Yeah, the total 15 teachers that we're sending.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
This is why I think we need to continue doing that for the next cohort.
Yes.
It's not that much, and we can get them become therapists. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's great. But I just want to thank you and your team and your teachers
Yes, ma'am.
for taking the time to do this. I know that you spend a lot of time planning and preparing and doing professional development. And you live this every day, and I personally appreciate it. I'm sure the community does too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Trustee Suarez.
Flores, if you were a coach, I'd want to play for you, man. I'm pretty excited listening to you. Walk me through the process. I know Trustee Alvarado talked about this, but you take these kids out and you work with them for 45 minutes. Now, this is done at every grade level, at every school, elementary, middle school, high school.
So in elementary, we take them out for 45 minutes during enrichment and reteach. We make sure at that time that are being serviced for those amount of times because that's what we say we should be doing. And then for high school, middle school and high school, they have an actual class period.
Nice.
That's where they go into a classroom, and it could be 52 minutes, an hour, depending on the actual time that they pull them out. And once they're there, they go through the model that we just showed you, and they make sure that they're following the whole process. Now, every single student needs to know, and as well as the community, that we do have a TEKS aligned and a scopus sequence. So it doesn't follow just like, let's get them in there and let's teach them. We actually go in there, do the actual process, the way it should be done for every single student, whether it be that they're in elementary or they're in a secondary level, sir.
Now, obviously, this has to progress outside the classroom as well. So how much engagement is done with parents?
Well, that's a whole different game. I mean, parents sometimes tend to want to take them out, and like I always say to them, what we do at McAllen ISD, it should be sufficient. Many parents want to ask me, well, sir, can we use the program at home? And I always say, don't. Because the reason we don't want to use it at home is because it's so important for them to know that we don't want the child to feel that they're stuck. We want to make sure that when we get there and the student's having an issue, that we can address it right there and then. Because the way the program works, Mr. Marco, is bottom line is when you actually hit what they call the red apple, there's a halt on the student. And when that happens, we got to make sure that we bring that out, pull out a skill builder, and work one-on-one with the students like you saw up there to be able to get them to the next level so they'll be ready to pass.
We didn't talk before this meeting, right?
No, sir.
Okay, well, because that transitions to the last part of what I was going to say is, you said something very, very interesting. You said programs don't teach, teachers do.
Yes, sir.
And I think that is aligned with what you're saying. There's a buy-in here. There's a buy-in with your staff, there's a buy-in with the schools, and there's a buy-in with the kids.
Yes, sir.
And that's where we see the success.
Yes, sir, and I believe that that's happening, and it's right on this slide right here where it talks about, Dr. Lisa Motes is mentioned over 10 times in the actual handbook of dyslexia, and that's the reason I did a lot of research on letters, because to me, if you ask me, what is your number one program and resource? Right there. When the kids understand how to decode, that's the way to go. If you're doing it by pictures, there's no learning happening, in my opinion. Has to be by decoding, understanding the process to be able to get to the next level.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for your presentation.
Trustee Aliceta.
I just want to say thank you, Dr. De Hoyos. I know that this is your initiative and great teamwork on y'all. I appreciate it. And, it's wonderful that you're creating this kind of leaders in the community in our school district, and you're empowering him to do this and develop this. Thank you so much. I will say you had a lot of data in those slides, and they're not in our packet, and they're not in our SharePoint. If you could share that with us so that we could have that next time before the board meeting so we could look at it, that'd be fantastic. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you.
And if I can add, Dr. Gonzalez, too, because you have black hair the last time I talked to you about this many, many years ago. I don't think you have black hair anymore, but your team has done a great job of making this an emphasis for our school district, and you can see. And I know we're not satisfied. We're not happy just being at this point. You're going to keep pushing. Oh, yeah. So whatever you need from the board, I mean, that's why we're here, right? I mean, you're talking about $60,000. I'll donate my salary, so...
Y'all heard that, right?
We don't get paid.
Trustee Saldivar, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We've had instances that parents were concerned because they would go through the testing process, and it came back that they were dyslexic, but yet the parent was seeing that the child was being real frustrated what was happening. So how do we identify that, and is there any follow-up to make sure to address the parents' concern that there's still some learning issue, and and they feel it goes beyond them struggling in the classroom, that it may be directly related. In fact, in one instance, it turned out sometime later, months later, they retested, and sure enough, it came back positive. So it's kind of twofold. How could that happen? And one is, how do you address when a parent pushes back a little bit and said, there's something not quite right here, because my child used to love to go to school, and now they don't want to go, and they're just struggling.
You know, Mr. Salivar, it's so difficult because we could see, once a student identifies dyslexic, he's dyslexic for life. You know, they might not need a service because they actually know how to compensate. Boy, can I tell you how that works. But it's very, very important for them to know. I think the number one thing to know is when they're in kinder, first, and second grade, I've always say this, and this is just my personal opinion. I think sometimes we have to keep in mind that it could be a developmental age, but we have to always keep in mind if it is, and we determine that, I want to make sure they put in an RTI program. One of the things that we incorporate this year, and last year I started the whole process, is that any child that's identified, and they're going to go through a special educational evaluation, which takes about 45 days or so, I need to make sure that they're being RTI. There has to be an intervention in place while we wait. We don't want to say we're not putting anything on there. When a child goes through the process of saying that we think he is or not, this is why we have a committee. A committee knows the child. If we cannot identify him right there and then because of such as the M-Amplify, then I want to make sure that if there is a concern that during the enrichment and reteach, we are providing some type of service to continue watching that child and determining do we need to move forward and evaluate them later on in time. Because it can happen, sir. You know, it can happen. But Amplify is a first step, and we always say that. It's not, there's no such thing in this world that says one exam determines if a kid's dyslexic or not. You have to ask preponderance amount of data. And with that is how you determine if a child might be dyslexic or not.
Okay. So if a parent, either the school or the parent or a combination of the two early on senses that they have dyslexia, and in this particular case, a parent, that was somewhat of a thought anyway. Who's the gatekeeper to decide what the step ought to be? Is it the principal? Is it going directly to you and your department? Does it go to a counselor? What's the mechanism to ensure that the parent is directly connected to your services to know what they need to do next?
There's always a system in place, Mr. Saldivar, and it always starts with the principal at the school. I think it's so important that they reach out to the principal because the committee is based from probably having your AP, which is your RTI coordinator. You have probably your dyslexia teacher involved. You have a teacher involved that knows this child probably more than all of us could because they see them every day. But I think when they put that committee together, they make a determination based on the preponderance of data. But let's say, for example, that a student would come or a student doesn't get identified and the parent's still adamant, by all means, they can reach out to me. Okay. That's what I'm here for. And I will join a committee while they're there and determine what's the next step. I will not vote because I'm not part of that school. I don't know the child, but I'll make sure that they understand what's happening and how we need to look at it.
Well, I must commend you because my understanding that in this particular case that I'm referencing and kind of walking us through,
yes, sir.
When things don't quite go right, you did step up, and so did Dr. De Hoyos, and the feedback I got from the parent was very, very positive. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Saldivar.
RTI, what's that stand for?
Response to intervention, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may, and that was one point that I did want to make with regard to our response to intervention. That's really the beginning step of seeing what we can do to remedy the child's issue. So of our response to intervention, which is different methods to help the child with whatever issue, and it's besides dyslexia, it may be ADHD, ADD, dysgraphia. There's many things they can deal with, but a lot of times our response to intervention doesn't require protection under 504 or special ed. So many times we take care of it at that point. But if we don't, then a 504 accommodation could be built by a 504 accommodation team, and that's where Sal's done a great job in making sure that our accommodation plans are not only set specifically to the child, but implemented with fidelity, and that's where we've come a long way, Sal, and I do want to commend you and the team, but it all starts with response to intervention.
Right.
So that to see if we can remedy this without getting into, it's the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is what it is, and if a kid has a disability that substantially limits their ability to perform a life skill, learning being one, then they're covered under 504.
Yes, sir.
But we try everything that we can do to get them to be successful within the RTI or response to intervention arena.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Sal, the last thing, both 504 and dyslexia have seen an increase of about 200 kids. Do we know ballpark why we're seeing such an increase? Is that just we're going more in depth into the teaching and the RTI and the study, or?
Yeah, sir, I really believe the understanding and the awareness that we now see more and more every day. I think the education that we have put into our district but most important, our teachers being aware through letters, the importance of it, and seeing that start of possibly being dyslexic has made a big impact in our district. And I think our numbers are very ranging. You're right, between 200 and 300 kids per year is what we're starting to catch. And if y'all don't know, 1 in every 5 is probably dyslexic in this world.
Wow.
So that means that we have great numbers happening. But in this world, I think there's so many kids that are not identified. And as you and I know, what happens a lot of times when they're not identified, in the future, it affects the child, whether it be at employment or wherever they end up being. So we have to catch them early. And that's why I always say kinder through second is our baseline. If we go over third, man, we can fail a child. But now that we know that letters provides the support all the way to 12th grade, if I have a child that's in middle school or high school and is suffering because he doesn't know how to decode possibly, well, guess what? I remember when my teachers told me, sir, why are we learning this? We're in middle school and high school. I said, because you're going to get a kid one day that might not know this. And this is your chance to pick him up and support him. Because by that time, we might think that's not our job. It's all our jobs.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. President, I do want to commend this board also, because my 13 years as a campus level administrator, we didn't have a director for 504 dyslexia. Right, we didn't have Sal's position, but it was this board that made this important to us and approved this position. Sal, how long have you been in your position? 3-4 years?
This one, I'm starting my 5th year next year.
You're starting your 5th year, so man, time's flying. So that's the key. In the history of this district, this position didn't exist. So not only did this board give us the opportunity to have this position, but then we were lucky and blessed to get Sal, who was the right fit for the position. So it's a big team effort to get us to this point 5 years later.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bridget Winston.
I just wanted to add, along with what you said with the board and to Dr. Gonzalez, because in my 9 years here at Central, what happened different for principals and assistant principals in the tenure and leadership of Dr. Gonzalez was the insistence that what's going to make a difference is the great teacher in front of the kids over and over and over. And so, but to have that, they have to be led at the campus and by the directors. So that synergy to come together where coordinators, you'll hear them talk, oh, the coordinators and the teachers. But every month under his leadership was the tell that assistant principals would come out once a month, the Wednesday after principals did, in the daytime. For an AM session, a PM session, we can't empty out the campuses. And they're taught. But they're taught by Sal, Mr. Flores, and also by special ed, because these were the systems and processes that, you know, being the coach that he is, run the play again, run the play again. Every time you hear litigation, it's something like, is there a slip? Is there a mistake? And so run the play again, run the play again. So it's just month after month that we never stop from that. The principals are pulled out once a month and they're taught. And every month, the assistant principals in the entire district, AM and PM, and that's happened. I think all of those systems and processes have contributed to what you see a great teacher in front of the kids, the program directors in the special ed and the 504 coming together.
Sal, do me a favor and give our thanks to Veronica Bailly there at Fields Elementary. That's a special campus, and there's a lot of special things happening there. You guys have only had the pleasure of knowing Sal for the last 5 years. Sal and I go back to other districts, but thank you, my friend. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Item 12B2, the report regarding Digital Learning and Libraries Department. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We have Ms. Ann Vega, Director of Digital Learning and Library Services, who will report on her department's 2022-2023 goals and efforts, give an update of our Tech Wars, which we're very proud of, and other events happening in the summer. And this item is for information purposes only. Welcome, Ms. Vega.
Thank you. And good evening, Board, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell you about my crew. These digital learning specialists are amazing. You can see with all their credentials, they're continually learning, and their focus is to empower our teachers to use technology to the best of their ability. I also work with the library team. We've had a little bit of a turnover, but it's been good because we have acquired some amazing librarians, and you can see with some of the things going on campuses that they have really just gone above and beyond. I'm really excited with the new ones that we have acquired. So one of the things that we work on really hard is our branding. I'm very fortunate that I was just speaking to someone earlier about being on Twitter. Like, this is our go-to learning space. It's a professional space where not only we learn from each other, but we share with our teachers, our principals, our other directors, and so it's a great opportunity for us to share what we're doing with our teachers and students. Whenever we work with our teachers, we do everything that we learn with Dr. Gonzalez. We're continually going over the leadership model. We're always talking about our customer service standards. So whenever my crew goes in to work with students or teachers, we make sure to touch this at the very beginning of their lessons. So one of our top goals every single year is to increase teacher effectiveness, because you can hand anybody a piece of technology, but if they're not using it properly, then it's not worth its money, right? And so what we do is, one thing is Technovate. And you can see in 2020, we had 1,098, but that was during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, that was when we really saw teachers were like, okay, I need help, I need help, I need help. So, and it was all virtual, but we had a great show. 2021, we had 795 in-person teachers. In 2022, it's 875. And I'd say in 2023, I expect that we will surpass 1,098 this next year. So at the beginning of the year, we always ask our teachers what it is that they're looking for. So it's going to vary from campus to campus. And each person, so Gonzalo takes care of the row vertical team, James takes care of the McAllen vertical team, and Rosie takes care of the Memorial vertical team. And what they do is find out what it is that they need and how they want to learn. So we do a lot of lunch and learns. A lot of our teachers don't want to stay after school. They don't want to come on Saturdays, but principals will bring them through PLCs, lunch and learns, faculty meetings, and other trainings. We've also partnered with special ed. We work really closely with Sal. We work closely with our counseling department, so that we can kind of double train everybody and then piggyback off of what they're learning and support them that way. You can see right here, so face-to-face, if you look at 2021, again, that was, our face-to-face was Zoom, and so there was a lot of support that was needed, because a lot of teachers, even though they had had these devices for a long time, still needed support on how to use the different platforms, what was the best practice for teaching virtually. So we had a lot of that going on. And then on the one-on-one, that's when my staff is called. So all day long, it's like teachers reaching out. I need help with this. How do I do this? I can't connect here. And I guess teachers have really connected with them, and so it really helps to have that every time they work with campuses, to have somebody, instead of having to always put a ticket in, because it's hard for Judy. Everybody's spread thin, right? So you can see we increase year by year with our face-to-face, trying to, I think part of that was we got the Promethean boards, so having to get on campuses and really working with our teachers step by step, training them not only how to just navigate on those Promethean boards, but to use it to their fullest ability. So they can, we could go every single month and there's new things that are coming out. So we try to do what we can. Our librarians, like I said, we've got some new ones. They're amazing. All it takes is one of them. When we started putting out a newsletter, one of the librarians was like, oh, I'm going to do that too. And then it was like 2, 5, 10. So I'd say 75% of our, I'd say maybe even 90% of our campuses are now, their librarians are putting out newsletters to kind of share what's going on in their libraries with their whatever challenges they have going on with reading. You can see our AR. We didn't really used to monitor. I've always monitored, but now I have kind of a contest going, and so you can see the competition between campus and campus. And I want you to look at the second one there. I'm so, so proud. We have a librarian this is her second year over at Sam Houston, and you can see she got second place in the first semester, and she's got a small campus, but she has her kids rocking and rolling. Right now, this semester, starting from January 9th, and I looked at numbers today, Sam Houston is back in first place. And if you guys know Gonzalez and Chris Hernandez, she's she likes to be in first all the time, but she's not right now. And I'm really proud of the librarian over at Jackson. She's also kind of trailblazing herself, and I was sharing with Dr. De Hoyos that we have a brand new librarian. She graduated in December, and I had her, so I worked with her and I said, I want you to go to Sam Houston. I want to see what she's doing, how she's creating those challenges. And she went from first semester being number 17 out of 18, she's now at number 6. So she's doing a really great job with her community. Again, we have what we call Bean Stack, and what we do is we create challenges for our middle schoolers. It's harder at middle school, the reading drops off, and I think a lot of it has to do because now they've got band and they've got Elevate and they've got all these wonderful things, but we really want them to be reading as well. So we started this challenge, and one of the things that I'm really proud of, this was last semester's numbers, but this semester we have Hathy Middle School was recognized with the 4th largest reading numbers in the nation.
Yep.
In Bean Stack, yes. Yep. And the buy-in is, she has every single ELA teacher, every single science teacher. She has all of her teachers, not just ELA, working and getting them to read and document all of that. So right now, she has over 355,000 minutes that her students have logged since January the 9th.
Ms. Legg, I don't mean to interrupt,
No.
but I'm going to. Ms. Rubio there at Kathy has
she's
been,
amazing.
She's had every sort of person in addressing the students and encouraging them to read. We got attention on the NBA G League because she had the Rio Grande Valley Vipers that were in there encouraging to read. One of the Viper players is a few hours short of his doctorate, so he knew the importance of reading. She's had the DA. I had the opportunity to go in and talk to her. She's just had a myriad of people that have gone in to help encourage and to help promote reading, and the Beanstalk that you're talking about. When I was there, she was number 5 in the nation. So if she's at number 4 now, that's a positive thing.
Yeah. She's amazing. And I'm super proud of all of the middle school librarians, because you can see just the energy that, and again, that friendly competition. I was telling Dr. Hoyos, I'm getting all these phone calls from, principals, but it's healthy, and if it's getting the kids to read, then we're excited about it.
Yep.
One of our other goals always is with our students to increase extracurricular participation. I think whenever I go to conferences or I go to Region 1, I always have people say, how do you get your admin to support this? And I said, because if you know Dr. Gonzalez, his drive is that every single student be in something extracurricular. And as a parent of three kids that went through, high school, I never let juniors, they wanted to quit. I want to quit football. Absolutely not. I want to quit baseball. Absolutely. I want to quit soccer. And none of them were star players ever. But it was everything that they learned by being part of a team, all of the great things of the team spirit, the coaches. I was sharing with our leadership that my son was in football. He did not miss one day of high school. And we would invite him, we're going to San Antonio. I can't. I've got football. Coach will be mad. I got to be there. So there's a lot being said for having your kids in extracurricular. So some of the things that we try to do is offer other things besides, that we try to find what they're interested in. Esports was one of them. So you can see right now, We started off in 2023 with 100 high school students in esports. We increased 21 to 22 so that all of our kids, we started every elementary, every middle school, and every high school has esports. And then this year, or this last year, every single elementary, middle, and high school. We had someone at Memorial, a team from Memorial Place nationally last year. And it's one of those things, we're still trying to tweak some of the esports because equipment, it's getting older now. And so we sat down with Judy last month and she's like, okay, what do we need to do to get things? Because it's not only the filtering that has to work with a lot of these games, but it's the equipment. Like anything else, after about 4 years, it needs to be better. We started, we piloted coding, very small this year. One, because we have to have like stipends, right? And so I was able to get some funding from federal programs to help with this. But we have 5 that started off with 10 at Rowe. We've got 5 students, 10 at Fossum, 20 at McAuliffe. And I'm really excited about this because I think it's one of those things. A lot of our esports in elementary has has coding. But like I was sharing with leadership, with a son in engineering, he has a coding class every semester, multiple, and he's challenged because he doesn't have the background. And I've worked with Karen Nitch on this as well, so that's something that we're looking at. Tech Wars, we have 150. We started off, we started way before that, but we had 150. Every year we get more and more. We try to add what we can, but again, we work a lot with our CTE students because they're the ones that are interested in here. So a lot of that goes into Tech Wars, and we did change Tech Wars. We moved it from March to May. This is going to be the first year that we offer Tech Wars during the day. So it's going to be in the morning, and we know it's going to be hot, but we really want students to be able to come and be bussed in. So we haven't worked out the logistics, but I was sharing with Dr. DeHoyos that it would be nice to get our 5th graders before they say, like, oh, I'm going to a different school. Well, you really shouldn't, because guess what? We've got Tech Wars, and you could be part of that. And so we're thinking 5th grade, 8th grade, and of course, we'll have to work with campuses to see how many kids we can get over there. And then proposed summer camps. So we've done our soapbox derby cars. We did it last year, and we're doing it this year. And that's something that I would like to transition into maybe middle school the following year. We are looking to add electric car building if it passes for the summer. We would like to see that, and then that would give the students at the Comprehensive High School in Lamar this year the opportunity to work all year with the cars that they build and then learn how to work with them, because they have to work on how does it, the speed, how do we make it faster, all the logistics of that. We also are proposing an underwater ROV camp. We would like to expand and do a more difficult build for our high school student with the underwater ROV. It's a lot more technical, so that is what we're proposing. And again, we would use that during Tech Wars next year. And then all the materials that we have for our underwater ROVs that we're using at high school, we would like to use those to start training our middle schoolers during the summer. And then, of course, we are not doing Coachella. We sort of are, but we have 3 coding camps that we are proposing for our elementary students. And then that's that. Any questions?
Trustee Peña.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. It's hard to go after Sal, because Sal just has.
Hey, I tell you.
But hey, you rocked it.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
thank you so much
It's like
for-
Debbie Loya, Sal. It's like, please don't.
No,
make me.
no, you rocked. That was so good. What an informative presentation. And I'm super proud of all of this, especially you've got elementary, middle school, high school. You've got it all covered.
Yes.
And so, wow, this is outstanding, and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. And again, like my my team, like our librarians and the specialists, like it's go, go, go. I've got two wonderful, I've got a bookkeeper and a secretary, and without them, I wouldn't be able to do all this, but I appreciate that.
Trustee Alvarado.
You said something that the teachers were a little apprehensive about technology, and I mean, obviously COVID, kind of heightened the need for us to accelerate the training, but you've done a really, really good job. Your team has done a really, really good job of training our staff, not just one, but throughout the whole year. I've seen it. It's incredible. Even the teachers get the boards. I mean, like you said, man, there's so much to learn, and you're always offering stuff. And you're right, I laughed when you said it's not just on Saturdays, it's lunch and learns. I mean, you're doing everything incredible, because the truth of the matter is when our kids do go to college or wherever they go to, the military, what have you, everything's changed. Everything's, it's COVID time. The tests are due at midnight. Everything is, they're so far advanced than, or even in jobs require so much technology that y'all have done a really, really good job of. The teachers, the idea of getting iPads for our kids obviously was, huge, but you filled in that gap of teaching our staff. So I just want to commend you, because I've seen it, and you're just keep doing what you're doing, because you can see the change in it. And I think we're going to get to where we want, where everyone's feeling comfortable and they're able to, we're not all there yet. Obviously, yes. Right. But we're definitely miles ahead of a lot of people. So I seen it with my wife. I seen it with teachers around. Just their knowledge of, just a simple how to use, Excel or whatever. I'm just being simplistic. Now they're like, I'm like, dude, what? Show me what they're. So just tremendous job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Trustee Alvarado.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Well, I do want to commend you, Ann. I know that you've done a great job in making visions become a reality. And to all those that are listening, for those of you that aren't familiar with Tech Wars, just imagine a track meet, but all of the events revolve around technology. So it's not just cool to win the district championship in football. Now you got the team that won the rocketry competition, and you have the team that has underwater robotics and computer animated drafting and robot wars and underwater robots and drone racing and all these activities that are giving kids opportunities to showcase their skill sets. And this year we're adding a barbecue team. For those of you that don't know, McAllen ISD is going to have a barbecue team. We're going to be competing at the state level, where our first run is going to be here at Tech Wars with our teams before we start taking them to Central Texas. But that's another. So if you look at culinary arts and what we're doing there, the barbecue teams, but all that we're doing, I know Elon Musk is right down the road, and we're all about reusable energy and urban ecology and sustainability. And if Mr. Musk is listening to us, I hope that he knows that we're doing all we can on our end to get kids ready for SpaceX and all the things that are going on into the future. So and it wouldn't be possible without you. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
I did want to add on, coding, that language. I have kids of all ages. My 23-year-old kids, I had to send them to Florida. They actually went to a NASA camp to learn coding. And now with my 15-year-old now, you taught her coding at Coachella. It's amazing. It's a foreign language that they all need to learn in order, like what Trustee Alvarado said, the next generation, they have to learn how to read and write in coding. And the fact that you're doing that for all of our kids here in the district, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Can we clap for you? I know we didn't clap for Mr.
Well, I can't wait to tell Sal tomorrow.
We'll clap for Sal, too. Belated clap.
Debbie, I think she's coming after you, Debbie.
Moving on to item 12B3, the report regarding facilities maintenance and operations projects. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is a monthly report from our Facilities Maintenance and Operation Department. We have Mr. Ruben Trevino, our Executive Director for Facilities Maintenance and Operation, who will provide us an update. And this is for information purposes only. Welcome, Mr. Trevino.
No pressure, Mr. Trevino. None.
No pressure. We're going to clap for you too, bro.
Maybe.
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Gonzalez, I'm here to present on our monthly report for facilities maintenance and operations projects that we have ongoing and completed throughout the district. Our first project here is our UTRGV McAllen ISD Academy. We have an estimated substantial completion date for July of 2024. As of now, as of today, most of the underground utilities are in place, plumbing mostly. They've already gone through inspections, and we're expecting our first pour of concrete within the next 10 days. So by the end of the month, we should be, if weather permitting, we should have a full, if not full, pretty full slab completed over at the Collegiate Academy.
What time will the concrete pour be?
We don't know yet, but we'll advise if in case.
I just did a concrete pour the other day. That was at 3:30 in the morning, so
Yes.
let us know.
Our next slide is our HVAC upgrades that are currently ongoing at Lamar Academy and at Rowe High School. Currently, chiller piping is being worked on at both campuses with AC units coming in for the gyms at both areas. We also have an estimated completion date of August of 2023, and they are both on schedule and within budget. We also have the Travis Middle School roof upgrade, estimated substantial completion date of February of 2024. That project has already taken off and is underway. We have the surveillance camera upgrades at De Leon and Morris. Morris work is now being performed with De Leon coming right after Morris. We have an estimated substantial date of August of 2023. So this summer, we'll have those two additional middle schools on a full-fledged camera system upgrade. We also have chiller replacements for Fossum and Morris. This afternoon, we received one chiller that came in for Fossum and another one for Hendricks. Over the week of spring break, we received 4 additional chillers for our elementaries that will be moving forward and installing through FMO. We also have the cafeteria and kitchen upgrades at Brown Middle School and De Leon Middle School that you see in these pictures. The Brown and De Leon are pretty close to completion already. We have an estimated completion date of May of 2023, and they're ahead of schedule at both projects. We also have Jackson and Gonzales. Gonzales is probably 3 weeks away, with Jackson following right behind. The completion date for these is May of 2023, and these are the pictures of both ongoing projects that we have at these 2 elementary schools. We also have the roof replacement at Houston. Estimated completion date is April of 2023. Right now, they're doing a final installation of our roof drains over at Houston, and they will be moving on to Roosevelt. The final pieces of the membrane are ongoing at Roosevelt, and that one's ahead of schedule. That one's scheduled to be completed summer of 2023, but they're moving right along. Weather has been cooperating quite a bit. We also have the cafeteria expansions that we've already started. Garza, Wilson, Rayburn, and Roosevelt. Rayburn and Roosevelt contractor has mobilized, and they're already on site, and with Garza and Wilson to follow. The completion date for these is December of 2023. Here we have our McAllen's Veterans Memorial Stadium press box. The estimated substantial completion date is July of 2023. So now you can see our structural components are now almost complete. It's all of the floor level is now complete from the 20 to the 20-yard line, with the south end of the press box going up this next week. We also have the McAllen High practice field sports lighting. Estimated completion date is June 2023. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled for this Wednesday to commence construction on that project. We also have the black box theaters and mariachis, which we have an agenda item coming up for McAllen Memorial, Rowe, and Mackay. In this slide here is our FMO warehouse and CMP warehouse teams, as both warehouses are both under FMO. They take care of different items. In this slide here, this was the equipment delivery, the serving counters, the relocation services, the meal deliveries, and getting our collaborative relationships with CMP staff, planning, putting schedules together, making sure that our cafeterias were relocated to the serving areas that they're now being served in order to commence with our construction, which we already started at Rayburn and Roosevelt. So all of this is done in-house, and kudos to both warehouses. Here we have a summary report that I wanted to report on, which is our Castle Rounds. Our Castle Rounds are at every campus. They happen every week. Castle, cleanliness, AC, safety, technology, lighting, and exterior. There are weekly reports that are generated. Work orders are generated after the reports. In these reports, you have a campus admin walk the campus, usually with a head custodian and an additional staff member. Most of the time, police officer joins the walk. I'm happy to announce that 100% of our campuses have submitted every single report for all year long, from the beginning to now. So.
How do we clap for you?
There's another one coming. And that is our castle upgrade that I wanted to brief the board on, and Dr. Gonzalez as well. This concludes my report.
All right. Do we have any questions for Mr. Trevino? Mr. Alvarado?
This probably is going to fall under the work order, but I'm sure you've heard all the talks about Roe, and I know we have a pending, work order in the auditorium, and it's gone in and out. But I think my comment's more directed at Dr. Gonzalez as he leaves, is that we have met with the city prior to COVID in regards to an auditorium. We didn't follow up, or it's kind of, we lost that opportunity to bid on an auditorium with the city for UTRGV. It went too far. And we haven't discussed anything since then. I don't think this one's going away, much like the Ag Center. I think there's enough push. And then right now, when you talked about underwater opportunities with Tech Wars and your underwater camp and all that, I see it more, not just as the swimming, but I see it as an opportunity for us to provide education. So what I'm going to implore this board is continue, or you, Dr. Gonzalez, is reach out to the city. They're not afraid to ask us for money. I mean, we have, we've helped them in a lot of stuff, and most of the time, when we partner with them, it works out to their advantage. I think they'll be interested because an auditorium will generate money for them on taxes and all that with all the swimming, things. And we don't have to build a big one. We can build it at Roe there, like we talked about, or, wherever y'all want. But I think we as the board, or you, Dr. Gonzalez, we need to have those conversations go away, because we're spending a lot of money at Roe. I didn't want to ask how much we're spending just to keep that thing operating. So at some point, we really need to come to a resolution. And even if we don't have the money right now, which I know we don't, but at least we have a plan so we can start putting some money aside. Is there any grants to underwater, if we tie that into it, something. But we got to fix that here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. And in my conversations with the mayor and city commissioners, they're leaning forward on this one. I think this is one where, when we synergize, we've proven what we can do with the city. And you're right. It would benefit the entire community to have a state-of-the-art natatorium. We'd have Roe as a backup, and I do want to commend FMO, because we're putting a lot of money into that facility, and it will soon hopefully act as a backup facility. But to your point, sir, absolutely, we're leaning forward on that, and we'll get with the city again to see what we can do to look at future plans for an auditorium.
We talked about that land in front of Roe.
Yes, sir.
Using that, and that's our, what we could donate to the cause.
Yes, sir.
There's parking is already there. And like one the gentleman said, we don't have to build a $33 million like we discussed last time. We probably can significantly reduce that, but it's something, I think it's more in reach than we think. We just gotta maybe have another meeting, because we met with the city commissioners and we talked about this, right? Last time was Convention Center?
Yeah, and there's also other avenues, and I know it's kind of off topic, but there's
No, it's a work order.
Yeah.
I was going to say, our attorney is sitting up very straight.
It's a work order.
No,
Spending a lot of money on it, sir.
No, but there's also been, discussion. We can be creative. We've talked. I know I've had some talks with South Texas College. If later down the line they want to do athletics, diving would be perfect. Swimming would be perfect. And they're right down the street. So there's different avenues that I think this board needs to explore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Okay, now we're off.
Trustee Saldivar.
Thank you. Ditto on all of that. And it's a shame that we had all that conversation. We were ready to go. Everybody was in agreement. And sadly, there was an undercurrent or a backlash referring to it at that time as the mayor's natatorium, and it wasn't. It was for the children. That's what it was for, and we kind of lost sight of that, and that's what we're talking about here. But I think we have a great opportunity. We ought to be looking at a sports authority as another option as well, because if you bring multiple districts, multiple governmental groups, then you have a little bit of lot more latitude and more money in the pot. But that's off topic. We got to get back to this. As far as all the kitchens that were being done, again, that's all through federal funds. That's not local funds. It's not state funds. All the renovations on the kitchens and the upgrades on the cafeterias is federal funds.
That's correct.
All right, and you don't see her, there she is, had played a big part in getting that to happen and for the district, and has been really working on that. I really appreciate that effort. How many more to go on that?
Right now, we're currently working on 8, and we will see our next phase, how funding is going to be, and we've got another 4 in the pipeline, because these are both funded through CMP and ESSER funding, both.
Okay. You're going to help us out with a little bit more background? Thank you.
So we have leveraged ESSER funding and TDA funding for these projects. Now that we're done with ESSER, we'll actually go to the schools that were built in 2007 and 2008, where CMP can fund those. They require minimal construction to make those self-prep. And then we'll have to go back and look for additional funding sources for the last 4 schools that we'll need to transition. So we will go out of order a little bit, just to, again, try to use our existing fund balance from the state first, and then look for local funding.
And the 4 remaining schools, are they from what age?
So remaining is Milam and Seguin, which require extensive environmental and expansion. And then Travis, same issue, and Mac High.
Gotcha. Thank you. As far as the roofs, how many? The Facility Forecast Advisory Committee came up with this great concept, which you've put into play and the district has put into play, which is life cycles. So how many of the roofs are now within the life cycle that we would want them to be, and how many more are still needed to be completed?
We're pretty close to reaching our life cycle on our replacement schedule. I would be happy to provide that replacement schedule. I don't know it off memory, but I know we've got Rowe, we've got De Leon, we've got Rayburn, we've got Roosevelt, Houston, Travis, Garza. All of those roofs have been renovated here in the last 5-6 years, plus a bunch more. But we are working on that life cycle.
All right. Same thing goes to the chillers. The community group came up with the life cycle plan. Correct. On chill. Where are we in that regard?
On the chillers, we're going to be up to date with the chillers that have been ordered. We've got between 16 and 18 chillers that are on order that we'll be receiving and installing over the course of the summer and the rest of the semester.
Regarding the press box at the stadium, I still remain concerned regarding what is now being referred to as a skybox, and that was not the way it was sold to the board. Definitely not to me, and so it was supposed to be a replacement of the press box, and so I think there's some merit to that other concept, but that's something down the road that we really need to discuss. It's not a load-bearing wall, but if it could be modified where that wall is not put in and closed up that space up there, I would be much more comfortable if we did that and not allow it to become a skybox. I know that means a modification, and there is a cost if they're needed to do that, but that would be my suggestion to that space.
Okay.
Let me see. I appreciate the castle. Ms. Gonzalez, we talked at length about how do we tie in what's happening on the campus with all the work orders, the castle rounds, and other information that's coming in for you, Mr. Trevino, and your team to now use the monies that are available to the best we can to address it. Ideally, you want to be ahead of the curve. And the board's talked about this, and this was what was very helpful for us when we had the number of, but it wasn't clear what that really meant. And so I would suggest that we take those components and find out how many are addressing cleanliness, how many are addressing AC issues, safety, technology, lighting, exterior, which makes up your castle rounds from a district standpoint, and more importantly, what is it costing us? I think at our level, we'll have a better understanding of when we're making our budgets, are we staying within our budgets? Are we going over budgets? Are circumstances occurring that beyond our control, and what those circumstances are? So, hopefully we can anticipate those and address those moving forward. So that'd be my suggestion. I think I was in agreement with Trustee Alvarado when we had just the number of how many requests and how many completed. It didn't tell us a whole lot. But I think if we take it down to the elements that you're evaluating, from a district standpoint and a cost, it makes kind of more sense at our level. So
And
it's just-
we can filter that out really easily. One of the things that we've done this year, since we've revised the way Castle Browns were done prior to my position here, is I've added a work order line per, so then you're able to separate the work orders per area.
Excellent.
And that makes it a lot easier to be able to determine where the need is.
Excellent. Sounds like we're on the same track, because
Yes.
now you'll be able to extrapolate that really
Exactly.
easy. I think that would be most beneficial, especially at our level. And if possible, the cost, but if that adds a lot more time and energy, it's something that it's two different ways, then it's okay. But I think that gives us a better understanding of what's happening.
And just for clarification, right now, the way they're prioritizing safety coming first, and then a lot of, there's some lead time in some of the equipment, but other than that, another thing that we've revised in the last year has been that the campuses will, there's comments now written by supervisors as to the status of their work order. So a campus principal can look up their work order and realize, okay, they're on it, but my equipment's on back order.
Gotcha.
And so that's the communication that the campus principals feel a little more at ease, realizing that their items will be addressed. And so that's one of the changes that we also made this year.
Excellent. Communication, you solve
Absolutely.
everything as long as people know what's happening. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Saliva. Trustee Aliceta.
Speaking of communication, when you go to discuss the pool with the city, would you also communicate the need of the Morris Bettis Park to be finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Like we agreed to?
Like we agreed to many years ago?
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
Well, we do have a meeting that I've requested between both entities. Hopefully, it'll be coming up soon so that we can have all these items up for discussion. Any further comments, questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. All right, we've reached the consent agenda items. We have items 13A through H.
Second.
Is this before or after you donate your salary?
We have a motion to approve items 13A through H and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0. Item 14C1. Discussion and possible action to terminate the contract number 2023-066 Econ Group LLC. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Administration is requesting to terminate the contract with Econ Group LLC and authorize the superintendent to begin contract negotiations with the second highest ranked contractor, Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez, our Assistant Superintendent for District Operations, and we also have Mr. Ruben Trevino, our Executive Director for FMO, and Ms. Alex Molina, our Executive Director for Town Nutrition and Purchasing Services, are available to answer any questions, as am I.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the administration to terminate contract number 2023-066 Econ Group LLC.
Second.
Debbie got it.
No, he's got two more.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Trustee Suarez has a question.
Before we go, I just have a question about this, Mr. Trevino, or whoever can answer
I can
this.
answer, I could probably answer.
You can probably answer. Okay, that's fine. So I just want to clarify this. So the exact same building, the exact same sketch is going to be, I just want to make sure we're all in agreement on this, is that the same plans are going to be bid by the next,
It'll be the original specs, what was spec'd out, and basically, since we have a signed contract, it'll just be terminating that contract because it's above budget,
Got it.
and then entering into negotiations with the second highest ranked vendor.
Right.
And then proceeding, if that doesn't work out, through all the vendors. In this case, there are only 3, so we would terminate at 3 if we couldn't reach something within budget.
so.
The
just-
specs stay the same as they were spec'd out with the
so if
original.
for some
CMAR.
reason,
Yes.
number 2 can't go, then we're back here again doing number 3.
We won't have to go after this motion. That's why there were 3 motions for us to for y'all to authorize us to proceed, so we won't have to bring it back and delay this. So in the event that we don't enter negotiations with the second highest ranked vendor, we would go into we'd cease negotiations formally and in writing as the law prescribes, and then we would go into negotiations with the third and last, that is our last ranked.
I just want to make sure that everybody here has the same opportunity. So now I have a question. So let's just say for easy numbers, it's $100 for this structure. And obviously, number 1 couldn't do it for $100. they did it for $200. If number 2 does it for $101, they don't reach the $100, right? We go to the third one?
If it's above our budget, correct.
All right, just want to make sure.
Yes, because we want to make sure that we haven't, yes, we want to make sure we have enough money for the FF&E, which is the furniture.
Perfect.
The key thing here is that we're not opening it up for bids again.
No, we are not. We're dealing with the 3 vendors that submitted originally, and we want to cease normally we would have ceased negotiations, but once we got the guaranteed maximum price, it was above our budget. So we need to terminate that contract. There was an actual contract, and enter into negotiations with the second highest ranked. If we're able to reach negotiations, then we can sign a contract. If we cannot reach negotiations, then we would go to the third vendor, and that would be our last vendor. If there were 10, we would go through all 10, but in this case, there are 3.
What occurred here is the way it was proposed and the way it was written at the very beginning, normally this language would have been included in that process.
Well, we typically, and I'm not in purchase anymore, but with my experience in purchasing, typically what we would have done is if it was a request for qualifications for professional services, then you include that language to be able to cease negotiations. For a construction manager at risk, which is a CMAR, it's not as common. In the 6 years that I was in purchasing, we only did, this was the second one that we did. So typically that language is not written into the original board agenda cover page. So that's why it was excluded back in June. And so that's the reason we had to bring it back before the board, because it was never approved for us to continue negotiating. But this time I've written it in there, and that way we save some time.
Exactly, and that's the only reason we're here, is because of the way it was, the approach that was taken by the purchasing decision at that time, and the language not being included.
Correct.
That's all we're doing. Which, Mr. President, is the first one already concluded?
No, sir. Trustee Alvarado has a comment as well.
I do too.
Just real quick, what projects or what's included in this project? Again, just remind me. I know.
So this is the pre-construction services, so it's 75% of the design. And so we do have to pay, which is the second
Let me take a step back.
Oh.
What are we talking about, just in case somebody?
That is, so the design of the actual mariachi area and the black boxes, and the way a construction manager at risk, which is CMAR, works is you don't have an architect or an engineer on board the way we do our typical CSPs, which is competitive sealed bids or proposals, and normally we would have gone through our own awarded, but because of the way this was procured, it was procured where you go out and they do the design fees for you, then they come back with a guaranteed maximum price, which they cannot exceed that. Any amount above that, once they've guaranteed that, they have to pay it. So that's why the numbers are coming in a little higher. And but we are not that far in. We're only at 75% of design. So at this point, we'd have to, which is the second part of the motion, that we have to pay them for what they've done and cease and then terminate the contract at that point. But those drawings are ours. They belong to the district.
What's your confidence level that we're going to be able to get this under contract?
Based on what our second highest ranked vendor is a vendor that we're already doing business with. The way they are coming in at pricing at the price per foot, it looks very promising. Okay. So we would enter into negotiations, and we're hopeful that we'll get something similar to what we've had for other properties. And if they come in close to that, we would be under budget, which is great news for us.
And then what's the timeline as far as once we get it, hopefully get someone under contract? How long does it take to build?
At this point, that I would leave that to Mr. Trevino. The length of time
and
to
another
build.
reason I'm asking, because some people thought that we had stopped this, so I want to,
The GMP just took a little longer than normal. That's what happened.
They see all the other projects that we authorized already, almost done, and they're asking where are these. So I'm just.
Yeah, it was just that part.
Kind of reset.
Our goal is to bring a GMP back to the board within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, and then after that, let's just say construction. I mean, by the time that students can start using the
12 to 14 months is the estimated time for construction.
Perfect.
That's
So
the
this
target
time next year,
completion date.
hopefully, we'll by the end of next school year, and then by the beginning of 2025 school year, they'll have the full ready to use.
So the second part of the motion that's coming up is, in the part that we're paying, is we already have the plans.
Well,
if people want
yes.
to, they could look. I mean, we already have. what's
Correct.
gonna look like.
The 75% up to, yes.
Yeah.
And so at that point, they belong to us. We do have to pay them because they've done services
work,
for us,
right.
yes.
Okay.
Trustee Peña.
My comment is not related, I mean, it is related, but it's not, but in general for everybody, when you say CMAR, FFE, CSB, GMP, and you did a good job of
Identifying the
identifying
acronyms.
what the acronyms are.
you.
But for future reference for everybody, for the general viewing public, can we define those as we go?
Within the, yes.
Well, and as we're making
As a-
presentations, we know what these acronyms are because
Correct.
we deal with them. But for the general viewing public, like, just in general for everybody, let's
Yes, ma'am.
define them.
The teacher in me kind of pulls that, but yes.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mr. President, did the motion, the first motion pass? I didn't hear it.
We have not voted on it yet, sir. We got to discussion.
Okay, I wasn't clear that we stopped. I heard all aye and that was it. Okay.
No,
Thank
no.
you.
So now we are
Because we were like taking a mariachi, we said, yeah, but we didn't vote. We're going to vote right now.
All right, let's cast our vote for motion number 1 made by trustee Saldivar, seconded by trustee Aliceda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we authorize administration to pay Econ Group LLC the pre-construction services.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Aliceda and a second by trustee Alvarado. Any discussion? None being heard, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0.
Mr. President, I guess I'll do the last one.
Thank you, sir.
I move to authorize the superintendent to negotiate with the next contractor in order of the selection ranking until a contract is reached or all proposals are rejected.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Saldivar and a second by trustee Peña. Any discussion? None being heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0. Thank you, board.
Yes, sir.
Item 14C2, discussion and possible action on Resolution 2023-163, authorizing the creation and dedication of the McAllen Elementary School Number 5, Lucille McKee Hendricks Elementary School. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This evening, we bring the plat for Lucille McKee Hendricks Elementary School for approval. This plat identifies boundaries, easements, flood zones, setbacks, and legal descriptions of the property. We have Ms. Alejandra Gonzalez, our Assistant Superintendent for District Operations, and Mr. Ruben Trevino, our Executive Director for FMO, who can answer any questions, but we are requesting action on this item.
So moved.
We have a motion by
Second.
trustee Alvarado and a second by trustee Peña. Any comments, questions, concerns, or queries? All right, none heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 5-0. Item 14D1, discussion and possible action of the McAllen Independent School District February budget amendment for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, ending June 30th, 2023. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Administration is recommending the approval of the February 2023 budget amendment for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, and once again, we're requesting action on this item.
What say ye, board?
Does Ms. Felix want to talk?
If you'd like me to.
It's up to you. You've been quiet.
Well, usually I have like a.
You prepared all this stuff for us.
We'll let you.
Okay. Tonight we have our February 2023 budget amendment. Our most significant items are general fund.
I caught you off guard.
Because sometimes you do, sometimes.
I know, right?
There you go. Okay, I'll do it from the screen.
What page is that on?
It is page 92, 91.
91, thank you.
The most significant to our interest income is our interest revenue. We're seeing trends because of our increasing in interest rates, so we're trending a $1.2 million increase. That's a positive. We have the TDA grant for food service of $488,000. In function 35, you'll see that same expense out for food service. That 1.2 was distributed to Transportation Department for $400,000 for overtime, as well as to the MITV press box for $365,000, FMO extra duty overtime for $242,000, and for the police department for $200,000. Those are the most significant for general fund. Also, we took from the assigned fund balance of $500,000 for our fencing to begin phase 1 of our schools. In debt service, we have an increase to interest revenue for the same reason, $65,000 because of our increase in interest rates.
Salud.
And those are the most significant items. If you have any questions, or?
Trustee Alvarado.
Just real quick, Ms. Felix, I know last year we had to take some money from, to kind of fill the hole, and I'm being very simplistic on this. Are we in the same boat as last year, or you think we're going to?
Currently, we are at the same boat. We are seeing the trends increase for interest revenue as well, and we're waiting for our property taxes to settle. And so we'll bring in the February amendment, February tax collections at that point, but we're waiting for those two items to determine where we're going to end up at the year.
Are you the same hole as last year, or smaller?
You're talking about going in?
Because we had some revenue come in, and we had to use that to kind of fill our hole.
Correct. So,
right.
Yeah, so that settlement was able to clear our hole. We're estimating that what we borrowed from ESSER is what's going to keep us whole.
Okay.
But we're seeing some upticks in interest and in property, which we hope to settle that down a little bit.
Perfect.
Trustee Saldivar.
Thank you. And what you're really saying is that what we are projecting and still looking at as far as the deficit is that you're saying we're seeing a change. It's a positive change.
A positive change.
Which means that may be far less, if not closer to.
Well, I'm very conservative, right? I don't want to say that it would wipe it out, but I think it would help what we're extracting from ESSER.
Yeah, because prior to last year, when we had our initial conversation, if memory serves right, we were looking at about a $14 million.
Well, those are other attributes. So if we take in what
This again was last year, so,
correct.
yeah.
So if we look at, the 14 is more going forward to the next year. The 6.5, 4, thank you. The 6.4 that we are using for reoccurring costs for current operations is, we start that off next year. We talk about a potential raise on average, that adds, and depending on the level that we can afford, it can range from $3 to $5 million. And then we start talking about compression, and then a drop of ADA, which then adds another $2 million loss, and it's just a bigger hole.
Yeah. And right now it's so fluid because we are in a legislative session, which is a biannual budget, and there's a lot of bills trying to address a lot of this.
And we won't know those final bills till the end of May, probably while we're in the process of approving our budget. We are waiting for those numbers to come in for our estimated property values, what they're going to decide on the homestead exemptions, what they're going to decide on the property values that they're going to be helping us out.
Changing the cap, maximum amount.
Changing the cap. We just had a webinar this morning, that's all.
Yeah. Do you anticipate as we had to go through the last budget cycle, the last two actually, where we had to do an amendment in August and September because the legislature hadn't finalized, or do you think that those bills?
Well, we did that with HB3. That has been part of our discussion with our team, that because of the situation that we currently are in, we're thinking if we had to adjust based on what the state comes into play, that might be another option for us, a contingent upon discussion, but that is just the starting of our conversations. But yes, we did that for HB3. It was contingent upon funding.
And if we get, it looks like there will be some bills dealing with a significant funding formula change, then if that is the case, then there's 30% of any of that change has to go towards compensation.
Yes, with HB3 passing, they had said any increase to the allotment 30% would need to be given to compensation. Now, there's formulas behind that as well, and they're also capping what they could increase from the previous biennium, right? So there's many levels of caps, so we'll know more in May, end of May.
Yeah. The big one's going to be the one where it's membership or ADA.
Well, the good news is this morning they mentioned that they called it a notable bill. So before it was kind of just pushed back. So it's another step, but again, it's very fluent. It might make a jump, hopefully.
Yeah. And getting to your presentation, I'm looking on page, it's the one before you get into, this is general fund.
Okay.
And you highlighted certain things, and it's showing on the far left column, which was your original budget, it showed there was a preliminary ending fund balance of $114,272. I'm sorry, $114,272,845. right? And then your far right, you've highlighted very specifically that it's now at 92,560,775.
Well,
What
the
changed?
variance there is because we now have the ESSER 2 that are local projects that are Fund 194. So if you take into account, if all that money were to be spent, then it cleans that out, right? So it's a preliminary based on the increase of the 194 monies that came in. And if we assume we spent it, that's where we assume we're ending,
Okay.
right? Because that's the big
In
difference.
other words, they've been assigned, and those
Correct.
funds are assigned for the various projects we've been talking about throughout today and probably the previous meeting. And that's why you're showing that movement of fund, of
Yes.
fund balance to cover those debts that we've,
Now, if they don't, then they roll over. So then that first column will change as they close out, but 194 right now, which is our local ESSER, what we call local ESSER, is combined.
right. And we just approved another project, so that's not reflected here yet because we just, which was the black boxes moving forward. on
No,
that,
so
right?
they were on hold as part of discussion, right? So they were earmarked, but without assignment. Now, when we do, so they're a part of that process.
Okay,
They're in that calculation.
okay, all right. So where do you anticipate the fund balance to be?
Our goal is always to maintain, especially our unassigned portion. We also want to adhere to our first rules. And so as our assignments go through, we are currently, our unassigned, I believe, is at 57. If anything that we can help assign or alleviate some of our one-time costs with like our replacement schedules, we want to be able to assign those and maintain our unassigned and keep the 90 days. But we're hoping to stay at 57.
Yeah, but point being is that the $92 million that's showing there's assignments already been made, though,
Correct.
that are not reflected in this report, but we're all keenly aware that that's,
So the 92 makes up the 57 unassigned. It makes up our restricted for our grants portion. It makes up our prepaid balances. It makes up our holdings for our assignments that we do for health insurance, for ADA losses, things of that nature. So it's a combination of all of our assignments and other categories of fund balance.
so at this point, we're at parity at this point, based on what I'm seeing here and what you're
Yes,
describing.
and
to-
because we're seeing the uptick of revenues for interest as well, hopefully level out with property, because there was a change, so we're hoping that that doesn't take a big hit. And the fact that we're borrowing from ESSER, our unassigned will be, we're hoping will stay leveled.
But this is the last year we'll be able to do that.
That would be, and it's the one time, the 6.4 that we are borrowing is a one time, which is something to consider as we go into our next budget cycle.
And so once we've done that, going into 23, 24, the last year of any ESSER money, everything's accounted for, everything's been, there's not going to be any ESSER funds left, or there going to be some there, but they're already allotted
They're
for a
allotted
certain
for
project?
certain projects.
Are there any there that we haven't signed any contract, which we could pull back and move in any way?
We are working on that schedule to, to make sure that everything is accounted for, that we don't miss anything. But we are working on what's allotted, what hasn't been. Really what it is, it's payroll. Most of it is in payroll. And so depending on the vacancies and how that is trending, and if we're not replacing those ESSER positions, but we planned out for the entire grant period. So those could be savings that we could accumulate.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your report. Good work to all of you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Saliva. Trustee Eliseda.
So speaking of payroll, on page 93 on functions 34, 51, and 52, there's like $800,000 in overtime.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
Yes, so for the police department, we added an extra hour so that the school is not vacant at any moment. Like they have a 1 hour for their lunch that we are covering. So that comes out to a little bit over 200,000 for so the school is not left alone. That was something that was part of the discussion in safety. As far as FMO, we have cost of everything is going up. So we looked at their overtime. They're in comparison. There's a little bit of an increase in the custodial because of the turnover in some areas. So that has happened. But the money was utilized for the cost of equipment, of supplies, and so now we have to help them fund their overtime at that point. Transportation is the field trips. I was actually surprised at how much volume they have, but it is.
Okay. And then function 41, the press box. is that, and talk to me about that too.
Yeah, so that is to make it functional as far as the cost of equipment that has gone up since we had a GMP, correct me if I'm wrong, with the press box. So,
Yes.
yes, maximum price. So.
That was good. Sorry.
So this is in addition.
Yes.
So can we have, I know some of us are really tracking that, can we have that put into that spreadsheet that someone's keeping track of that has all the
Yes.
true cost of the press box?
We can.
Thank you. That's
Any further questions?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0. All right, Board, we've all been handed a Region 1 Service Center Board of Directors official ballot. There are 2 spots. Place 2 representing Jim Hogg County, Stark County, and Zapata County, and place 5 representing Cameron County. There's 4 names. Many of them are quite familiar. Please cast your vote and pass it this way so that we can do a quick tabulation.
Tony.
You got them?
Yeah, pues I'm the board
Okay.
secretary.
Oh, we're passing them to you?
You want to be the secretary?
Sorry, Mr.
You
Secretary.
want to do everything or what?
Do salad.
Count the votes.
Here you go, sir.
Oh, housekeeping.
1-1?
I take a selfie with him.
Oh,
at
okay.
meetings.
So now you do it with the,
He's not here.
Oh, that's funny.
Every single meeting that we have been together, I've taken a selfie with him. So I have hundreds of pictures with him.
so you're gonna bring
He's
a
not
poster
here.
when he's gone,
Yeah.
and we're just gonna have a poster in here?
You know,
I don't know. It's
You know
gonna
those
be-
videos?
It's gonna be a sad day.
Life size.
but yeah.
Little levity at the,
All right, Trustee
8:30
Suarez, do we
hour.
have the tabulation?
Yes, we do, and the winner is
Okay.
Ricardo Gutierrez and Drew Brown.
Ricardo Gutierrez and Drew Brown have been selected 6-0. Not, no, not 6-0, but those are the
Yeah, that's the majority.
majority right there. So congratulations to Ricardo Gutierrez.
Mr. President, if you would,
Yeah, you have to.
you have to actually call out the votes.
So it's 4-2 on Ricardo, and it's 3-2. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4-2 on Brown.
So it's 4-2 both ways.
Do we need a motion, Mr. Sedano?
Yeah, you need a motion.
Yes.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0.
Now you can have it.
Thank you, sir. 14E2, discussion and possible action on the Board of Education meeting minutes.
Move to approve items 14E2A through D.
We have a motion to approve 14A through D. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Trustee Suarez. Any discussion? None heard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry it 6-0. Schedule of future meetings, 15A, the board workshop happening April 3rd, 5:30 PM at McAllen Memorial High School. This is going to be at Memorial High School. Item 15B, a special board meeting, April 3rd, again at McAllen Memorial High School. Item 15C, our regular board meeting here at the Dr. Chapa Boardroom. And item 15D, our regular board meeting, April the 24th, at the Dr. Chapa Boardroom. There is no reason to go into close.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's confusing for people. Why are we moving it to Memorial Auditorium? Why are we not doing the workshop here?
We're,
It's just a workshop, right?
it's a workshop and a board meeting following.
The recognition.
Oh, it's
Kids, yeah.
recognition.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just a,
It's not just a workshop.
so, okay,
15A and 15B is the same day, an hour difference.
okay.
And we're already at the location.
All right.
I
So,
think that's going to be confusing for people that have been coming for years to Mac High to do the, it's like when we moved from here to Achieve and people kept getting lost. I just don't see the need to, oh, is
Mac High's
busy?
booked.
Ah, okay.
Mac High's got a UIL event.
So is wrong, but we'll make sure
Okay.
to let parents know.
Okay.
Before I take a motion to adjourn, a couple quick hits. Good luck to McAllen High School Theater. They're in regionals tomorrow at PSJ North. What time is their presentation and is it open to the public?
Yes, it's open to the public, and it should be on about 3:34.
About 3:34. So that's McAllen High School, and the name of the show is Kathy? Okay, so
Are there some top performers in that show?
that is one quick point of interest. Also, tomorrow is National Down Syndrome Day, and to celebrate it, we are asked to wear our wackiest socks ever. So if you have some wacky socks, please take a picture with them. Use your social media platforms so that we can get the word out about National Down Syndrome Day. All right.
Mr. President, I'm sorry,
Trustee
but on
Saldivar.
the schedule of future meetings, we need a motion on approving those.
Can we get a motion to approve? I have a motion by Trustee Alvarado. Is there a second?
Second.
Get a second by Trustee Saldivar. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes carry 6-0. 8:33. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned.